Hey everyone, it's WiNGSPANTT, and it's time for Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012. They just released the newest expansion, or rather the first expansion for Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012. They did have several expansions for the last one, so hopefully there'll be more here. And I am back with my favorite color combination since the beginning of me playing Magic, blue and red. That's right, I remember being a wee lad playing Stronghold and Exodus back in the day, and getting an Inquest magazine, which was the dork magazine at the time for Magic the Gathering, and there's this whole article about purple decks, blue and red being big. So I bought into a hook, line, and sucker, and I made my first blue and red deck. It was terrible. I just followed, the deck layout they had in there. But ever since then, I always loved blue and red. I love counterburn, I love combo decks, and that's pretty much been my favorite deck type throughout all of Magic the Gathering. Now, I just want to say here that I have a very good starting hand. A lot of people are saying that this Cloudburst deck sucks, that it's like the worst deck in the game. Maybe if you're the worst player in the game, but to be fair, having played this color combination for a long time, it is not very intuitive. You really need to have very good game sense of when to use instants. That's really what blue and red always comes down to, is when to use instants, when to use permanents, and that balance between having threats in hand and having threats on the board. Here's Elixir of Immortality. I know a lot of people are not a big fan of this because it's a life gain card, and therefore they just assume it sucks. But that's not the case. Yes, it's a life gain card, but it also shuffles your graveyard into your library, which does a couple things. One, it means that because blue and red are very reliant on instants, and you tend to use a lot of instants and disposable cards early in the game, the ability to shuffle your graveyard back into your library is a big deal. Two, okay, the fact that many of the powerful cards in this deck, especially the late flyers like Murder of Ravens and what is that, Spellbound Dragon, kind of cycle through your deck very quickly. Being able to not mill yourself is very valuable, right? And third, blue and red typically has very bad defense, so gaining 5 life at a time is actually kind of a big deal. Now this guy is playing mono red, but he doesn't. Okay, whoa, well then. Okay, so W Vicious 1, well played. You did your best. This is why in general I always say don't take a hand that only has 2 lands in it, because the odds that you will get a third land, yes, you should get a third land, you should get a 4th land, but there are no guarantees in Magic. There is a mix of luck. There's definitely a lot of luck involved, but you get to choose if you're going to stick with that initial hand. And you saw I didn't stick with my initial hand. I did mulligan. Now this is a little bit of an exception. All right, so I have 2 lands here, so just by my own logic I shouldn't take this hand, and I don't. But as you can see, I get a very good... I was considering it, though. I was considering it. In my opinion, what makes a good hand for Cloudburst is a mix of burn, 1 of each land at least. You need at least 1 mountain and 1 island, and preferably a 3rd land. Then notice I'm not going to play the Elixir of Immortality. Why? Because so I have the option to burn with the shocks on the first turn here, which I guess they're not necessary. This guy's also playing the double red. Maybe he'll get a 3rd land. The second reason is there's no reason at all for to play the Immortality right off the bat. Now I can play it. That was maybe kind of dumb. It would be good to have my options open, so I have Into the Royal as a possibility of something to play. Niv Mizzet, the Firemind, great fucking card, great blue-red card, great card overall. That Fiery Hellhound is a great card, which is why Shock is a great card, to get rid of the other great card. I'm going to try not to do that again. What I love about blue and red, though, is it's very reactionary, alright? And because people think, oh, well, reactionary decks are dumb, that you're just dumb, you just react to whatever the other person does. Au contraire, mon frère, in my opinion, now playing this Electrode, a reactionary deck makes you think, okay, you have to plan out, because if you just burn every creature hits the table and counter or bounce every permanent that hits the table, you will lose, because your opponent will eventually get something by you. That's something you can't deal with. So playing a reactionary deck is all about, deciding every single time they cast something, do I react to this or not? What are the odds I can play something better? What are the odds I'm going to draw something better, and how will I react to it? Now let's see, what is he playing here? He's going to try to Lava Axe me, which I'm just going to take it to the face. There's really not much I could do about that. So for some reason, this deck doesn't have any counter spells in it, but I'm just going to hit him for 1 on his turn. I'm going to keep the Into the Royals. So see, all these instants in my hand power the Electrode. Every time he casts instant sorcery, not that I believe there are any sorceries in his deck except for that one, Electrode untaps. Every time it untaps, it gets to do more damage. So basically, just casting instants does damage, which can give you incredible card advantage. You know, with one well-played... Oh, God, he's going to do this to me again. Now I'm getting a little nervous here. He's going to hit me down to like 10. Normally... Well, of course I'm going to ping him. And by ping, you know, if you're an old-school Magic player, you know all these terms. But normally I wouldn't use this elixir right now with only one card in my graveyard this early in the game. But the reality is he's got 5 lands that tap 4 cards in his hands. It's possible he has burn that could burn me down to 0 from 10 in one turn. So I have 6 land on the play, and I decide, do I want to play Niv-Mizzet? No, I really don't want to play Niv-Mizzet because it's very possible he'll just change his Outrage it, and that I won't have a Niv-Mizzet, which would be very, very sad. So I want to keep this board position because I know his deck, Unquenchable Fire, his deck is all built around getting out 1 or 2 creatures and burning all my stuff off the board. Now he's going to try to, see how desperate he is? He's willing to use Pyroclasm on just my Electrode, but what he doesn't realize is that I am willing to Into the Royal my Electrode, which will untap the Electrode, use my Electrode again. Okay, oh, I fucked up there. Alright, ooh, it's a good thing. Alright, burn him, so I burn him for 2, return the Electrode to my hand, and draw a card. He wastes a card, so essentially I am almost at the same card position I was before, and he's wasted a card. A card that, by the way, could have cleared almost everything in my deck. You know, a lot of my creatures. So he drops his own little pinger, which is very dangerous. He's essentially betting that I don't have burn, but I do. Of course I do. So I'm just going to shock this thing, get off the board, get the Electrode back on the board. I could play the Niv-Mizzet at the 6 mana, but you know what? I still have an Into the Royal. I can still protect the Electrode. And I'm betting that after now he's... You know, how many cards has he wasted trying to get rid of... goddamn slag. How many cards has he spent trying to get rid of Electrode? And this is what I love about blue-red in general, is you want to make your opponent just know that you're infuriating them, doing absolutely nothing in your sideboard. What's he doing? Alright, he's going to try to burn this thing, so whatever. I'm just going to bounce Electrode again. So he's now spent... You know, 2 burn cards and a creature, trying to get them on board to get rid of Electrode because it is that dangerous, alright? And he used Flame Slash, which just does 4 damage. So he used a 4 damage spell out of his hand, which makes me think he doesn't have a low damage spell. Maybe it's safe to play Niv-Mizzet, alright? Because what are the odds that he's got a Changer's Outrage or 2 Flame Slashes in a row that he can play? I don't know, but I'm willing to take those odds. And hey, if he's willing to burn it, he knows I have Electrode, alright? So he's gonna have to burn this Niv-Mizzet, knowing that I have Electrode, knowing that he's... Yeah, okay, Banefire. See, and I'd rather him spend the Banefire, alright, killing Niv-Mizzet, the Firemind. I have to say, I really have to give Niv-Mizzet, the Firemind, the full respect he deserves, because I remember when they printed that in Ravnica, I just said to myself, as a player who plays blue-red, this is the creature they needed to make to adequately represent what blue-red is all about. God, I love blue-red. I love counterburn. I love just saying no to everything the opponent does. Now notice I have Reverberate in my hand, which can copy any spell the opponent plays. So he's played Fire Servant. That is very fucking dangerous. It doubles the damage all of his red spells do. But what he doesn't know, is that I have Reverberate. So if he tries to cast a spell on me, I can copy a spell, and my spell will resolve first. Okay, so if maybe he tries to kill Electrode, all right, I'll be able to copy whatever he uses to kill Electrode, kill the Fire Servant, all right, or maybe fire to him, whatever makes sense at the time. And casting Reverberate will, of course, make Electrode untap, allowing me to use Electrode twice in one turn. I'm just going to let this damage through. There's no reason to chump block. You always got to say, do I want chump block? Well, just remember, you chump block now, you chump block later. The chump, alright, only prevents 1 turn of damage. So, ultimately, chumping early doesn't really do anything. Now, I have the option here, I have this card, I forget the name here, that can bounce one of my things and one of his things. And it's an instant, so it untaps stuff. So I'm just going to keep it in my hand, so that when he attacks again, I can slow down. And here's the thing with bounce, too. Everyone's like, oh, I'd rather have counter than bounce. Bounce makes your opponent waste their whole turn. Essentially, you know, he casts this creature. I'll make him cast the whole creature again. I don't give a fuck, alright? I'm not going to make a Honey Badger joke, because those are played out. But I seriously don't give a fuck. I will just bounce this shit all day. And just imagine you're this other player. You're like, Okay, now I'm just going to burn him first so that, you know, that the bounce can untap the Electrode. Alright, so I'm going to hit him down to 13. I'm at 11, mind you, but it's not a bad board position. Now, yep, let me just get this going here. If you target one of your own lands when you use this card, he's going to try and incinerate me, alright? That's going to do 6 damage because he's got Fire Server now. What he doesn't know, though, is that I have Reverberate, alright? Reverberate, when I cast this, it's going to copy Incinerate. I'm going to kill his Fire Servant. Yes, I was just about to bounce it, but whatever. I'd rather kill his creature than bounce it and not take 6 damage to the head. So I'm going to Reverberate the Incinerate and always use the right trigger before you use it. See? The default trigger was on Ether Trade Winds. I guess I could have bounced it again. It seems like waste. So now my Electrode untaps again. Use the Electrode again. And you just got to know how infuriating must this be to other player. So he's going to eat another damage. Reverberate's going to resolve. Be a copy of Incinerate. And then I'm going to Incinerate his Fire Servant for 3 damage. And this is a cool animation where Reverberate becomes Incinerate, okay? And now my Electrode does this previous damage. I only take 3 damage to the head because he didn't have Fire Servant out when his Incinerate resolved. He has 0 cards in hand, which means there's no threat he's going to play. I'm going to just ping him down to 11. Some things go all the way up to 11. Well, the Impossible Mew, the Impossible Emu, your life goes all the way down to 11. Okay, I'm done. You know, playing blue-red always makes you feel kind of like mad scientist-y, like just having this Wheel of Fortune. So everyone's going to discard the hand, draw 7 cards. That is a terrible play for him because I have Electrode, which means probably the 7 cards I'm going to draw is going to win me the game. So I'm going to get rid of the cards in my hand right now, hit him for 3 damage. Okay, yeah, this is not, there's no way he's going to burn me first. Based on what, there's no way whatever I draw is going to be worse. Alright, I got Prophetic Bolt, 4 damage, 5 damage with Electrode, and a Lightning Bolt. Game over, buddy. So guys, I'm just going to let this play out here. I'm just going to, I don't need to narrate every single thing I'm going to do. Everyone who says this deck sucks, in my opinion, you just need to know how to trim this deck. I took out a lot of sacrifice creatures, and I kept in the elixirs. They actually do help. You see, I basically would have been within the realm of death. I don't know what else he's going to do, but let's just finish this shit. Lightning Bolt! Lightning Bolt! Alright, hit him down. This is going to hit him to 3. Electrode untaps. I don't like to take any risks, so I'm just going to ping him anyway. He doesn't need to know that he's about to get finished. And I'm going to win the game. Guys, I'm WiNGSPANTT. Alright? This is Magic the Gathering Duels of Planeswalkers 2012. And I don't think I need to say anything else. Cloudburst doesn't suck. Go to toptiertactics.com.